Greetings, my fellow Animaniacs. JLB, back after a very long, probably 2 month or more hiatus. But I'm glad to say I'm back. I'm up to full operations, and I am bringing you the first animation news update in quite a while. We've got a bunch of news to cover today, so it might go into a two-part video, but I can't be certain, so let's get the show on the road then. Now, we have to talk about last month because I was out for that entire month due to a family excursion and the fact that Halloween was coming up. So, what better place to start with than, well, my hat represents it, Nickelodeon. Now, as you know, I'm a bit of an animation buff, so I'm going to talk about only the animated programs. Now, there were quite a few new episodes of SpongeBob SquarePants that I haven't seen yet, including a episode in which Plankton becomes a ghost, but I haven't seen it yet, so that's for a completely other video. But I'm here to talk about the episodes that I have seen. First off, an episode of a show that's kind of got my attention as of late, Butterbean's Cafe. The episode that aired, A Bean for Halloween, it's pretty much not exactly what I expected it to be. I thought it was going to be a standard Halloween affair, but it's actually a bit of an origin story for one of the characters that resides within the cafe, that being the pet cat. But, like with most of the episodes I'm going to be discussing, I'm probably going to save the full details for another video. So let's move on from Butterbean's Cafe to Ricky Zoom. Now, having watched very few episodes of Ricky Zoom, which is one of the two newest imports for Nickelodeon and their Nick Jr. properties, but I have to say, the Halloween episode, Ricky Zoom, it does two things. One, it has good mystery as to what's really happening. It's a standard ghost sighting affair, but it actually does something pretty good. I mean, it kept me wondering who was underneath the cloth. But secondly, it also brings out another variation of Halloween. Yeah, if you know your animation history, there have been multiple cartoon variations of Halloween. You had Spook Smurfy from the Smurfs, Shalloween from the Snorks, Spooky Yuki Day from Roly Poly Oly. But in all honesty, I really think that they all need to be connected together by a stronger Halloween thread than just by the name and the festivities seen in said holidays alone. But you could chalk the Ricky Zoom variation of Halloween, Wheeloween, on the list of different variations of Halloween. But now let's move on to, well, I really wasn't thinking about doing this because I'm animation, not live action, but I'd be remiss if I did not mention Ryan's Mystery Playdate Halloween special. Now, I've only seen a couple episodes of Ryan's Mystery Playdate, which is supposed to be a live action series, which is hosted by Ryan from Ryan's Toy Reviews. But in all honesty, I think it's passable. The show is passable. Sure, it's goofy for the sake of being goofy because, well, Ryan is a goofy. He does like to do goofy things sometimes. And his father is silly. I mean, if you've seen the promos for Ryan's Mystery Playdate, you probably know. But the Halloween episode, it's definitely passable. Maybe worth at least 2 watches, especially around Halloween. But all in all, if you have a kid who really likes Ryan's Toy Reviews, then by all means, I think Ryan's Mystery Playdate is worth a look at. But now let's move on ahead to the recent Halloween episode, or spook-themed episode, of Top Wing. I've seen a few episodes of Top Wing, specifically 3 episodes, all of which had to deal with, both of which, the previous 2 had to deal with Haunted Cave, well, the Haunted Cave, but this recent episode, called The Haunting of Pirate Cove, it's again, like the Ryan's Mystery Playday Halloween special, it's passable for what it is. I mean, sure, I haven't really gotten into full detail about the episode. I'm gonna save all the full details for every single series, for every episode that they come from, for future videos. But all in all, that episode was passable, to say the least. And now we are moving on to the most recent one of the most recent to the second of, well, first or second, I don't know, of the most recent imports Nickelodeon's brought in. That being one that I've actually found interest in, probably because I have a fascination for everything Italian, 44 Cats. Now, obviously, it's sort of like the Chipmunks, only they replaced the rock and roll Chipmunks with rock and roll Cats, the Buffy Cats. And in particular, the Halloween episode, it's a decent standard affair. But if you want to hear my full thoughts on 44 Cats, you'll have to wait for my video on that one, whenever it can be done. But now let's move over to November and upcoming events for the animation world this November. Okay, so there are two big things going on in the month of November for Nickelodeon, specifically for their Nick Jr. brand. Oh, and silly me, I forgot to mention, one of the most recent revivals in Nick Jr.'s history, bringing back Bubble Guppies for a 5th season. I saw the debut episode, and honestly, it's the beginning of a new season, but the end of an era, because the beginning of the first episode, it's sort of the end of the whole silly Gil moments that usually opened up the show in seasons 1 through 4 of the past. And they just basically went to doing all specials instead of the regular episode formula that I'm pretty sure many of you kids out there have been used to when you were watching Bubble Guppies. But I have to say, Season 5, it's pretty good for what it is. You'll have to wait for my full thoughts when I get into talking about Bubble Guppies Seasons 1 through 5. But let's get back to November. Tomorrow, November 11th, I'm recording this video on November 10th, November 11th is going to be a pretty big day for the animation world. Specifically for two camps, Nickelodeon and the Disney camp. We're going to talk about the Nickelodeon camp first. Over in the Nickelodeon side of things, we've got Paw Patrol Ready Race Rescue coming up tomorrow. It's going to debut on television tomorrow. It had an early DVD release at local Walmarts. And we're also going to be seeing Blue's Clues and You, the revival of a show I grew up with when I was a kid. And I've honestly seen the first 3 episodes available for free on Vudu. That's the only reason I got the service. But even though it's just remaking episodes of the past, they're actually remaking them pretty decent, adding a bit of a modern twist. But in all honesty, the show is passable for the kids of today. I mean, sure, it's not like the groundbreaking success that it was back in the 90s, but hey, what are you going to do? You can't just try and recapture that in this very same magic that quick for kids of the 90s. I'm a late 90s, early 2000s kid, but in all honesty, if you have kids and you grew up with Blue's Clues, I think letting them watch Blue's Clues and you watching them with them, it might bring back some memories. I think it might be worth it. But let's head over to the Disney camp and see what's going on over on their side. Now, for the Disney camp, they've got a bunch of things going on. Not only do they got the new series The Rocketeer coming up for Disney Junior, but they're also going to be unveiling and launching Disney Plus, their first ever streaming service. They're going to be taking their stuff off of Netflix come either tomorrow or the day after tomorrow. I'm not sure. But it's going to have pretty much every Disney property ever. It's going to have regular Disney, the classics. It's going to have Pixar, Toy Story, A Bug's Life, etc. It's going to have Star Wars, Marvel, National Geographic. Anything that you can think of from Disney, most likely is going to be on Disney Plus. But in all honesty, I'm hoping they have the classic shows from Playhouse Disney when I was growing up, as well as some of the Disney Junior shows of the past and the present. Obviously, they're going to have Jake the Neverland Pirates. They're going to have Vampirina. But I'm hoping they have the older shows like Roly Poly Oly, Stanley, PB&JR, the Koala Brothers, JoJo's Circus, all the classics that used to air on Playhouse Disney. But let's keep our fingers crossed and hope that they're actually on there when Disney Plus officially launches for those of us who didn't get an early start on it. But let's close out the video with a very special announcement. Now, next year is going to be 2020, the beginning of a new decade. And it's also going to be the reimagining and release of a brand new Scooby-Doo movie to theaters. That's right, there's a new Scooby-Doo movie coming out in theaters. I'm pretty sure Hanna-Barbera knows what they're doing when it comes to launching a new Scooby-Doo movie, but trying to create a cinematic universe like they announced that they would, I just hope they know what they're doing when they're competing with Marvel and the DCEU, DC Extended Universe. But if you want full details on the movie and the photos that Hanna-Barbera released for it, go check out Andre Meadows, aka Andre Black Nerd Comedy, to get all the necessary info. But all I can say, the movie looks really, really good, judging from the photos that I've seen. In fact, one particular photo shows not only a picture of the Blue Falcon, but also Shaggy and Scooby in their forms from the old 80s cartoon that you might know of, A Pup Named Scooby-Doo. And honestly, I'm trying to get back into Scooby-Doo, so this is a pretty big announcement for me. But when will this new movie, called Scoob, be coming out? It'll be coming out next year. Month? Date? Week? Not sure yet. We'll have to wait for further information. But until then, this has been Animation News Update. Thank you for joining me, and I'll see you all next time. Stay animated, people.